Okay, so I'm going to walk you through reading before you read. I'm not going to read the article in this video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the steps. I've talked about reading before you read. That means looking at the pictures, thinking about what the article might be about so that we get ourselves ready to understand what the article is going to be about before we actually even read it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the picture at the top. I'm going to look at the title of the article, and it's called Blood Doping. The picture itself has bicyclists, potentially professional bicyclists. And I'm going to read the caption underneath. It says, "The world of international bicycle racing can be so competitive that some athletes cheat by blood doping." Okay, so I'm going to be thinking about anything I know about cycling. I might even can think about the people I've seen riding in the streets who might be wearing some sort of outfit that looks like this. So you're trying to think of everything you can think of about bicycle riding, but then also remembering that we're going to be learning about blood doping. You might be thinking about stories that you've heard in the news about athletes who cheat by using different substances. That's the first thing I thought of, is what sort of substance is blood doping? So messing with metabolism to win races. Well, I know metabolism is the energy that we use, or how quickly our body uses energy. We learned that recently. So let's go ahead and go down and read some other titles. A cyclist's metabolism. Okay, so we're going to be connecting the cyclist's metabolism, how quickly they use energy, and what that looks like. What is blood doping? Okay, good. I'm going to be learning what it is, and I'm going to look at this picture over here. I'm going to take a minute to look, and it looks like a blood transfusion, or taking blood out or putting blood in. Actually, this looks like taking blood out. So athlete drains some blood. Athlete stores the blood for later, and before a competition, athlete injects the stored blood back into his body. So that's probably the process of blood doping. Actually, it says it right here. That is the process of blood doping. So when I go back to read this section, that's what it's going to explain to me. Let's look at the next part, how blood doping works in the body. So let's read over here. Blood doping requires athletes to remove and store their own blood, then inject it back into themselves later. Well, that's what it said up here. That makes sense. Okay, blood doping and red blood cells. So I'm looking at this, and it said blood vessel, and I'm thinking that's the circulatory system that we've learned about. That's what takes all of the molecules that we've learning about and takes it to the different parts of the body. And so it's showing red blood cells in the blood, and this is showing normal blood. This over here, blood doping increases the number of red blood cells in the blood, and so this is considered doped blood. So I'm looking at the two, and it's like, okay, yeah, that has significantly more red blood cells. And this says blood doping increases the number of red blood cells in the body. Okay, that makes sense. So let's go down to the next page and see what this says. So catching blood dopers. Okay, so we're going to learn about what it means to catch someone. That probably means they're going to get into trouble. You might be going through some of the stories if you've heard about doping or athletes cheating through extraordinary measures. Then you might be thinking of that, being caught. So let's see what this is. I may not understand what this is, this oval thing is, what the squiggly thing in here is. Actually, I do. It's a mitochondria. So that's something that I know. I don't know if you know that, but that's what I do. And there's oxygen going in, glucose going in, energy, water, and carbon dioxide going out. So let's read this down here. It says, in the parts of the cells called mitochondria. Okay, my memory served me correctly. Glucose and oxygen combine to make carbon dioxide and water releasing energy. This is called cellular respiration. Okay, so I'm going to look at this oxygen and glucose going in. Okay, and then once it gets in the mitochondria, water, carbon dioxide, and energy goes out. Okay, and I guess that's what's called cellular respiration. So I'm not sure what that has to do with catching blood dopers, but I've got that. So let's read this little thing down here. It says, in the parts of the cell, I already read that, sorry. And let's go down some more. Dangerous side effects. Okay, so athletes do it even though it might be dangerous, okay, and an alternative to blood doping. So now we know that they do it, it could be dangerous, and there's another way that could give them the same effect. All right, let's look at this picture. I see a cyclist in the mountains and it says high altitude training. So high altitude, I see a picture of the mountains. High altitude means high up in the mountains, has similar effects to blood doping, but it's legal. Okay, so now I haven't read the article, but I've learned quite a bit about the article. So now when I go back through, remember the reason we do this is our brain needs to touch on the information more than one time for us to be able to learn it. So now that we've allowed our brain to open up and touch on all that information, we're going to go back, read the article for the first time, and get some information. Don't forget that when you're reading the article, you will have to annotate. Again, that will be the third touch your brain will have on that article. And then when we talk about it, that will be the fourth touch. So we'll be learning lots about